I'm still in my small, lightweight, compact lens era. Today I'm shooting with the Sony E20mm f2.8 lens. This is an aps-c lens, and I'm using it on a full-frame camera body, the A7C II. When you put an aps-c 20mm lens on a full-frame camera body, you effectively have a focal length of about 30mm. The reason why I'm doing this is to challenge myself to see in 35mm focal length. Even though this is 30mm, what I plan to do in post is to crop in my photos a little bit. This lens and focal length is very popular among street photographers, but I find myself in vast landscapes like this more often than not. When it comes to landscape photography, I find myself using focal lengths between 50 and 85. Any wider than 50mm, I feel like I'm trying to focus on too many things. And when everything is important, nothing is important. As I've said before, nature can feel so chaotic, and one of the ways that I do it justice is by focusing on one thing at a time. But with wider focal lengths, that can be a bit of a challenge. However, I've observed so many landscape photographers recently, and they have shot at the wider end quite often. So it has got me thinking, why not me? Why can't I do that? And it boils down to something very simple. I just need to practice. Also, I've had my eye on the Sony 35mm f1.4G master lens for a long time, but before I can commit to something like that, I want to see if I can think in 35mm. So that's the impetus for this particular challenge. Let's see what we get up to. Sometimes I take photos of things that are pretty insignificant to most people. I must be the only person in this world that probably says things like, "Wow, this is a really good looking branch." And it really was. I know good looking branches when I see one. Check out these turkey tail mushrooms. They apparently have some medicinal properties that are really good for things like cancer and commenting on YouTube videos. So I can say with confidence that shooting with a lens this small is actually an advantage for anyone who's trying to build more practice. When you're carrying a lens that's super lightweight, you're going to want to shoot with it for a longer period of time. And when you're shooting for a longer period of time, you're practicing a whole lot more. I'm not necessarily a beginner, I've been shooting since 2005, but there are focal lengths that I definitely shy away from, and it takes a deliberate effort to get better at something. We all have our comfort zones, and for me, stepping out of my comfort zone means shooting wider than 50 millimeters. I wouldn't say shooting with this focal length for a couple hours has transformed the way I see, but it's reminded me that there's so much more to explore and that we just need to give it the time that it needs to simmer. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Landscapes or forests, oh, hold on. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. That sounded like a wolf. And I did. Shut up! Nature. The smaller the lens, the longer the walk. I just need to practice.